All right, welcome in everyone. Today we are mapping out some truly chilling firsthand accounts from a bustling metropolis. We're going to be looking at a recent and honestly fascinating interview with Arsal Rizwan. He's an aircraft engineer who sat down to share a geographic trail of the unexplained right across his city of Karachi. This explainer takes you directly through the source material, translating the specific locations and the supernatural lore attached to them into a dark, tension-filled map. So, here is our itinerary for today's journey into the city's eerie underbelly. First, we'll look at the airport's restless spirits, then the phantoms of Karzaz. Third, we'll explore terrors inside the home, and finally, a slip in the graveyard. We'll be grounding the source's claims in real, physical locations, moving from vast public spaces all the way to the terrifyingly intimate spaces of the home. Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1. The airport's restless spirits and a grave on the playground. We're starting our map in the sprawling, often totally empty expanses near the Karachi airport, focusing specifically on the Civil Aviation Authority Junior School compound. The source material describes a very localized, deeply strange piece of lore right here. According to Arsal's research, the school is built on property once owned by a Parsi woman who absolutely refused to give up her land. After her tragic passing, she was actually buried right there on the grounds, and today, a fenced grave sits inexplicably right in the corner of a kindergarten playground. What's really chilling is that older guards and residents report seeing the apparition of an old woman near the area, repeatedly stating this exact phrase, "I won't sell this place." But the airport stories definitely don't end at the school. Arsal shared a deeply unsettling workplace incident from out on the tarmac. Picture this. Two mechanics are working on top of a grounded plane's wing during a quiet night shift. According to the survivor, an unseen force violently pushed them both off the aircraft. We're talking about a devastating 30-foot fall straight onto the concrete. Tragically, one of those mechanics, a man named Afan, succumbed to severe spinal injuries. Older employees actually frequently report seeing a vanishing entity near those exact runway bushes where the incident occurred. Moving over to the cargo side of the airport, the source touches on a much more recent historical tragedy. In the cargo cold storage area, workers have reported hearing desperate voices pleading for help. The source directly ties this to the tragic 2014 airport attacks, pointing out that this is the specific location where victims perished in a fire, unable to be rescued in time. Now, it's one thing to hear stories about an empty tarmac or an old playground while you're safe at a distance, right? But what happens when the terror follows you onto the road? I mean, have you ever been driving late at night and felt a strange, inexplicable pull on your steering wheel? That brings us to Section 2, the phantoms of Karsaz and Shara-e-Faisal. Let's transition over to the city's notorious stretches of asphalt. Because if you ask the locals, they will tell you straight up that these midnight roads hold the accounts they fear the most. These two harrowing road encounters present a truly terrifying contrast. On the major artery of Shara-e-Faisal, Arsal describes seeing a massive 6 to 7 foot tall entity just walking along the footpath. And as he observed it, his car's steering wheel was physically pulled toward the figure, entirely against his will. Interestingly, he notes a specific bent pole on this road where severe accidents occur almost daily, yet the drivers mysteriously walk away without a single scratch. Conversely, over on the infamous Karsaz Road, Arsal experienced a female entity instantly materializing right in his car's blind spot, only to vanish into thin air. And this brilliantly illustrates how that Karzaz Road encounter escalated with just terrifying speed. Right after the figure vanished, around midnight, Arsal's perfectly fine car completely dies. Shortly after, he experiences a searing, suffocating heat inside the vehicle, despite it being the freezing dead of December. As he's sitting there stranded and sweating, an icy hand clamps down on his left shoulder. And finally, an unseen force violently slams his open car door shut. The vehicle only miraculously restarted after a tow truck pulled it past a specific overhead bridge. Just off these haunted roads, the local lore extends right into the residential towers. The source mentions a nearby apartment complex, specifically the 5th floor of B Block, which is completely abandoned. The accounts there describe empty elevators opening entirely on their own and brand new light bulbs literally exploding from their sockets due to some unseen presence. It really cements the area's dark reputation. So, you can avoid certain roads, right? You can speed past abandoned buildings. But what do you do when the threat is in your own living room? Can you really lock the doors against something that is already inside? Section 3. Terrors inside the home. The source material takes a much darker turn right here. We are shifting our map from fleeting public sightings out on the road to physical, inescapable encounters inside private domestic spaces. We see two distinct private homes become sites of physical danger, but in very different ways. In a Malir camp basement, an older gentleman was slapped by an unseen entity with such incredible force that he fell and actually fractured his arm. In that exact same room, perfectly racked snooker balls would just scatter entirely on their own. Meanwhile, a North Karachi home introduces a far more malevolent situation, one involving suspected possession and severe psychological manipulation. Arsal recounts the deeply disturbing experiences of a pregnant relative living in that North Karachi home. It started out kind of subtly, with unsettling faces appearing in the black reflection of her phone screen, but this quickly escalated to sudden, totally unprovoked maniacal laughter. The most alarming incident involved her cutting off her own waist-length hair using a kitchen knife while in a trance. She began showing extreme aggression and was even caught speaking directly to blank walls, promising an unseen entity that she would do exactly what it asked. This all culminated in a chilling quote from the source material. While heavily pregnant, she suddenly declared to her husband, "I don't want this kid," directly echoing the threats she was heard making to the walls that neither the baby nor the husband would survive. Tragically, she was later found violently pushed to the floor, which resulted in a miscarriage. The source reports that the victim's mental instability actually persists to this day, seemingly immune to both medical and spiritual interventions. Section 4. A slip in the graveyard. We now guide you to the final destination on our dark map of Karachi. We are heading to the Essa Nagri graveyard, right in the middle of a relentless, heavy rainstorm. So, the absolutely crucial point of this final story is the visceral, sensory horror of the physical environment itself. While visiting a family grave in the pouring rain, the soft mud just gave way beneath Arsal's feet. He slipped and plunged straight down, sinking chest deep into a raw, sunken grave. Down in the dark mud, completely unable to pull himself out, he vividly describes feeling the hard, cold stone slabs that cover the deceased right beneath his boots. I mean, think about that. A terrifying, literal 6-foot plunge right into the earth. It really leaves us with a lingering thought. Looking at this map we've drawn today, from the bustling airport tarmac to the midnight roads, all the way to the quiet homes and the sunken graveyards, are these just urban legends born of a sprawling metropolis? Or is there a darker, unseen reality sharing the streets of the city with you? Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer today. Keep your eyes open out there, and we will see you next time.